Hello, I'm Dave Riccio, and welcome to the Automotive Therapist. On the Automotive Therapist, it's my job to put you in the know when it comes to your car so you and your car can feel better. Today, motor mounts. What the heck is a motor mount? Well, I'm here to tell you what a motor mount is. If you got a car, you've got a motor mount. What is a motor mount? A motor mount is this chunk of rubber that is sandwiched between the engine, which is here on top, and the frame of the vehicle, which is there on bottom. So it's the connection point, and it connects the engine to the vehicle. Now, motor mounts do go bad because as you can see, they're made of rubber. Why are they made of rubber? What happens is an engine and transmission, they're bolted together as an assembly, but they're independent from the vehicle, and they're full of vibration. So we mount them to the vehicle on rubber to absorb all that vibration, so that vibration doesn't transfer to you in the seat in the passenger compartment. So we mount them on rubber. The more luxury of the car, the better the rubber is that makes that vibration not transfer to you. So that is what a motor mount is. Everyone's got them. Now, you're at the auto shop, they call you up and they say, you got to have motor mounts. Why do you need motor mounts? Please tell me why. Here's how motor mounts fail. Motor mounts fail in two ways. The first reason is, there's a lot of weight of that engine resting down on that mount, and that rubber just kind of compresses or collapses over time. And what that rubber is doing is absorbing the vibration from that engine. So again, you don't feel it in your seat in the passenger compartment. But over time, that rubber loses its ability to absorb vibration and it collapses. So we get a collapsed mount. When a mount collapses, some people are like, well, my engine's running rough. Well, the engine's running fine, but if the mount is bad, you're going to feel all that vibration in your seat and think that your engine is running bad. So that's the first reason they fail. The second reason they fail is that when the engine accelerates hard, there's all kinds of upward pressure on it. The other thing is when you're coming to a stop and it's rotating, there's all kinds of downward pressure on it. And depending on the position of the mounts, because you have multiple mounts, they're going to have different forces on them. So take a look at that mount, you can kind of see it's intact. But what happens to a motor mount over time is that the rubber stretches. So I got a rubber band here. It can only stretch so many times before that rubber actually breaks. So at some point, the motor mount fails, and you have what we call a separated mount. So this is the same version of that mount that I just showed you, but you can see that one is totally separated. So the other one, I can't even move with my hand because it takes a massive amount of force to stretch it out. But that one that's broken, you can obviously see. The problem with the broken mount is you're going to have thuds or thunks, when you put the car in gear or you go to accelerate or you go to put the car in reverse. Thumps and thuds. The first reason they fail was vibration, because they lose their ability to dampen vibration. The second is they actually just break or the rubber fails. So, the next question is, how many mounts do you have in your car? Not all cars are designed the same, but there is some consistency. So if you have a full-size, full-frame truck, there's going to be an engine mount on the left side of the engine, an engine mount on the right side of the engine, and then there's going to be one further back underneath the transmission. So you basically have three mounts, okay? Now, on the modern front-wheel drive car, instead of the engine and transmission being front to back or longitudinal, they actually move it transverse, so it's sideways. Now, on that typical setup, you're going to have one up underneath the radiator, you're going to have one back on the firewall, you're going to have one on the passenger fender, and you're going to have one on the driver's side fender. So underneath the engine compartment, there is 4 engine or motor mounts that are on there. Now, some of the modern SUVs and front-wheel drive cars may have 4. Some will have 6. They'll have other little supporting mounts in there to play a supporting role. So 4 to 6 mounts is not uncommon to see on that type of vehicle. So should you ignore bad mounts? Well, not totally, okay? If the auto shop calls you up and they're like, hey, you got bad mounts and you need to spend X amount of dollars, you say, well, I'll put that off for another day. Well, if you can afford to fix the mounts, absolutely fix the mounts. When you don't address mounts right away after they fail or they're going bad, what it does is it tends to deteriorate the vehicle, okay? When you got a mount that's broken like that one I showed you, if the motor normally moves that much, when the mount breaks, it's moving that much. And so what it's doing, it's all those thuds and clunks that you're going to get with a broken mount. It's stretching out wiring harnesses and radiator hoses and things like that. So you don't want to ignore that. Now, in the other situation where the mount is actually sagged and lost its ability to absorb vibration, it's taken all that vibration and putting it into the frame of the vehicle. So not only are you feeling in your seat or in the steering wheel, but the rest of your vehicle is shaking. So if you just take something and shake it up long enough, how long is it going to be before something breaks? So we don't want to deteriorate your car by ignoring mounts. So if you can absolutely take care of them, It's not a situation some guys get dramatic, like when they're trying to present that to a customer. Oh my gosh, your motor's going to fall out of your car. It's not like that. The way the mount is designed, this one, for instance, is broken. It's only going to allow the motor to travel so far, even though it's totally broken, but it is going to travel further than it should. So it's not today emergency. It's something you could say, hey, you know what, I'm going to do that at the later in the month, after a payday, something like that. So how much should a mount cost? Well, unfortunately, mounts, there's no consistency among manufacturers. I was showing you a Honda mount. This is out of a Honda Accord. And this particular mount costed $300, okay? So now, the cost question on mounts is a little bit funny because you can go online and you can find this same mount or one that looks similar or a generic version of the same mount for $50. And so $50 or $300. Why is this one $300? The one that's $300 is absolutely the one you get. A lot of the knockoff or generic or aftermarket mounts are not the same. So this is a Honda, so I got a Honda mount for it. If you're going to go to the time and expense to replace this mount, put a good one in, otherwise you're going to do it twice. And you're still going to have to buy the good one in the end. So on a front-wheel drive car, if it's got 4 mounts, I'm going to say the modern one, you're going to be $1,200 on the bottom end of things and $2,000 on the top end of things. The more luxurious the car becomes, the price of the mount goes up. You know, you can have a Honda Odyssey, for instance, where this Odyssey has a $300 mount. The touring edition of that same Odyssey actually has, that same mount is $600 because it's electrically controlled and it's dynamic, so it's always changing with the running conditions, stuff like that. So more advanced mounts are more expensive. That's why when you see the word touring on the end of something, just know it's more to maintain that car. So I have seen on a Mercedes, I've seen mounts go for $3,000. So that puts into perspective. How often do mounts fail? Well, what kind of driver are you? So for me, I can destroy a motor mount in 50,000 miles because I'm full throttle or no throttle. But typically, you know, if you're someone who does jackrabbit starts, you're going to cut the life down, you know, by 25 to 50%. If you drive like a normal everyday driver, a mount will typically last somewhere between 80 and 120,000 miles and really anywhere in between. It's important to know those kind of rule of thumbs. That way when someone calls you and they say, hey, you need motor mounts on your car, and you're like, my car's only got 40,000 miles on it, there's got to be some explanation that says why this mount failed so prematurely. But that window of 80 to 120,000 miles, that's pretty typical. And that's almost typical of rubber components on your car. So to help me keep you in the know, please subscribe and like this video. And we'll see you next time.